Welcome and welcome back. We just had the UFC's first ever event in Azerbaijan. Woo woo, let's go, UFC Baku. It was definitely a dynamic night, and two of our hometown heroes totally stole the show. Lots of dynamic fights on the card. Let's give it a dynamic review. Go over the highs, the lows, the fun times, the fence grabs, everything. I knew that Paul was gonna be there because he's so dedicated. I just knew. I knew that it was guaranteed to be a Paul Felder night, and I love that. First fight of the night was a heavyweight bout between Hamdi Abdel Wahab and Muhammad Usman. Muhammad Usman was, looking to enact his game plan of embracing the chaos. And in that first round, it wasn't really giving chaos, but eventually by round two and round three, he was definitely finding himself in there, and he was looking good. He was looking very good. At first, the jab was kind of airborne in round one, but then he really found it. And it was looking great, and he was landing big. We could hear Rashad Evans in his corner. 1-2 heavy. Love that. Yeah, he was looking a little tentative in the first, and then he really put it on in there and got the unanimous decision win those last two rounds, a comeback from a little bit of a losing streak, looking good. Then we had a flyweight fight for a top 15 spot, hello, between Azmat Maxim and Tagir Oolen Bakeoff, okay. And this one was definitely flyweight flair. It was happening the whole way through. It was very exciting. Oolen Bakeoff definitely searching for the takedown throughout the entire fight. That's his usual game plan. And that fight was the first that we had a egregious fence grab. Uh-oh. Don't love it, but what can you do? Well, you could take a point, but it didn't happen. What we did see was some amazing dirty boxing. Those final moments in round three, they were looking pretty intense, pretty violent. I was loving it. Love to see that dirty boxing, love that clinch work, and there was a lot of it, a lot of toe to toe, head to head. And it's really exciting, and that is exciting enough. But then Maxim gets two takedowns right at the end, a really fun, super competitive. I'm not a judge, but felt like a 29-28, just a great back and forth. Ultimately, Oolen Bakeoff holds onto his number 12 spot and gets the unanimous decision win. That one was great. Fence grabs aside, both guys really did everything in there in that fight, and that was really fun. It was incredible flyweight flair performance. Love that one. You really got to see everything because Maxim was resistant to the takedown. So, Tajir had to do everything else. He had to throw everything at him, everything but the kitchen sink, as they say. So, you got to see it all. Then we had the first of two women's bantamweight fights between Irina Alexeyeva and Claudia Segura. That was pretty fun. That was pretty quirky. Alexeyeva coming off of a pretty big layoff. Irina, she's kind of a chaos fighter. Kind of a brawler, kind of a technique is not important. And Segura was definitely looking to enact the technique, to be heavy on the technique and less on the brawl aspect. Though, we got some crazy stuff at the end. But at the beginning, we got a little bit of PP strike, a little bit of, it happens. And Michael and Paul get really awkward because, there's a timeout and they're coming up with things to talk about. And they're like, wow, I wish Laura was here so that she could tell us what it felt like. It's fine. Just a little moment between the boys. Anyway, lots in round one already, but we get back to it, and Segura is just keeping it all boxing and keeping it very technical. That is where she likes it, and she was looking good on the feet the entire way, and unfortunately hit Irina with another PP strike. But it's okay. All of that aside, Segura was ahead in strikes and comfortably controlling the space and the fight, and it was looking pretty good. And it was looking like Irina was struggling with the chaos. Well, with her being chaos and the chaos not working. Yeah. Wasn't able to close the distance very well. Wasn't able to get as much done in there when they did get close. By round three, Irina kind of dials it in a little bit, and she hits Claudia with a pretty ouchy front kick. Ouchie, ouchie. I gotta run backwards. And so they're against the fence, and Alexeyeva's kind of in control in that moment. Blood's pouring. Yeah, it's looking good. But Seoula lands big, okay, and she lands big with something really cool. So she like misses when she's throwing the cross, and she comes, wow, back like this. Hiya! It was awesome. That's like, that made, honestly, I gotta be real, that made me a fan. Because I didn't know too much about her going into this, but seeing that miss, and I just love that. I don't know. Something kind of dialed in about a move like that. So that was really fun. That was a good third round. Finished really strong. And, Seoula, she just did more in there, put it all out on the line. Both of them did. Okay, I learned that L in her name is silent. That's great. Yes, it was her first ever Octagon win as well, and a really strong one at that. So, backfist. Then we had another women's bantamweight fight between Melissa Mullins and Daria Zelelesnikova. And that was really great. That was actually a rematch. I didn't even know that. Completely missed that. That was a rematch. Mullins got the win in their last appearance, and Daria was able to get the win this time. And she came out in that first round with a lot of urgency. I mean, we were looking for murder. It was a hunt for murder, and we'd love to see it. Mullins took some shots early, and it definitely took her a little while to recover. By the second half of that round, though, Melissa was like, okay, I'm back in it. I'm ready. But, yeah, both of them were causing a lot of damage. It was blood. Mullins definitely looking for that takedown and gets it towards the end, looking for the armbar, and it's some scary stuff. You can tell she's dangerous. She's crawling on her like a spider crawls on a block of wood. Just kind of, you know what I mean. It's looking scary, but round ends before we can, make anything happen there. 10-second clapper. Daria survived it. It's a little less murdery in that second round. We take a little bit of a step back. A little bit more of a calculation round. Mullins, searching for that takedown for sure. Gets it, but still a little bit, not too much time to go. And so not too much control on the ground there. Daria just throwing together a lot of really good combinations when they were staying together on the feet. Pace is kind of maintained there into the third round. Looking to land some shots from the outside a little bit more. And then we get another fence grab in the midst of a takedown, but it's fine. We get over it. Paul threw his pen. There was drama. Paul was not having it. He said, that stops the takedown. It did, Second fence grab with no point taken. It's all good. We turn it up. By the end, after that fence grab, fight turns up again, and we finish with some really solid boxing. Daria Zelelesnikova did a lot more. She did a lot more, and so she got the unanimous decision. A really exciting fight. Daria went out there, and yeah, she put on some major volume. It was looking good. Mullins wasn't able to really find the takedown where she is the most of a shining star. But now we're 1-1, Maybe they'll meet again. And then we had Ismail Nardia versus Jung Park. Okay, shout out Iron Turtle. Really great nickname, right? Because he's a ninja turtle and he is as tough as iron. And he really proved to be in this performance. Nardia came into this fight looking to rein in the chaos, in his own words. Trying to not get a little too bloodthirsty in there too early. Be a little more technical. Turn it up a little bit later. But he was looking pretty hungry in there right away, I would say. Yes, hungrier and hungrier as things progressed. Nardia was trying to hit Park with everything, but he's one tough cookie, so he was taking it on the chin, taking it well, and that was, Nardia was getting a little PO'd, and so just in the letting the chaos get to him kind of way, gets around to another eye poke. At this point, Park had been poked in the eye twice. Ouch, okay? But it's like, at that moment, it's not too bad, I guess. And then, yeah, illegal knee. Unfortunately, a bit of illegal knee action, and it's very devastating because that eye and that eyebrow are split, busted up. His knee was on the ground, but he got kneed in the face anyway. He can't even open his eye. And it's just so awkward because, Nardia thinks he had won. He thinks that they're stopping it when it's like timeout, actually. He thinks it's being stopped. He's like, oh, I did it. Sweetie, no. With peace and love, no. And so he's on the fence. Woo, I did it. No. Park is upset, obviously, but minimally. He really wants to fight. That's more of the focus. The doctor and the cut man are arguing. That was so weird. Paul is hyped up, like in a bad way. He's mad about all the fouls. It's drama. He wants a disqualification. Park is trying his best to get his eye open. He wants to fight. And the doctor is looking at a little sketch, and, Herb Dean is trying to advise. And so we land at a -2 point deduction. Okay, and there's 4 minutes to go in that round. So we're just right back in it. Park, he's tough. So he's like, yeah, I can see. Yeah, I can see, it's all good. So we keep going. And, Park quickly enacts his specialty, which is the grappling. So he's all over Nardia, and he's on that iron turtle type behavior with his toughness, just getting right back in there and saying, I'm just going to go get him. And then we get to round 3, and Nardia, it's looking like he needs to finish because he's been controlled, -2 points. It's not looking fresh on his end. Yeah. Hard to imagine his headspace during this time after thinking that he had won. This fight had a lot of potential going into it, but that illegal knee really busted Park's eye, and the doctor probably should have stopped it, but they were like, nah, let's just let it happen, get sketchy with it. And Park was like, I'm not backing down. So, yeah, his eyes were still closed by the end of that fight. He was still, but got the win. Unanimous decision. There you go. Then we had our featured prelim, Elliot versus Seo Kung Ko. Okay, Ko, Korean Tyson, Ko. But he didn't really keep it in the hands this time. He was like, you know what? I'm going back to my judo roots. I'm going to flip-flop him. I'm going to scramble eggs. And he was kind of manhandling Oben the entire time, all the way through. It was kind of KO 101. It was KO's world. It was Ko's world. Ko's world. It was Ko's debut performance as well. And it was just absolute domination. It was just a very suffocating, kind of same story every round. Just kind of took Oban where he wanted to take him, which was typically on the ground with him on top of him. And yeah, absolute domination all 3 rounds, coming in as the underdog, I guess. So that was a very smashing performance to lead us into the main card. Muhammad Naimov and Bogdan Grad in a featherweight fight that, it started off, Bogdan was looking pretty hunty, and he got caught a little bit with a kicky. This was one of a few fights that both fighters were trying to trick each other by being switchy, like switchy stance, switchy on each other, and, we make our way to the fence, and that's where things start happening. But when we're in the middle, it's just a battle of the switcheroo. And, this one got a little slow. We had a little bit of a stand-up moment at the end. A little bit, just kind of a back and forth. Not too much damage, though. More so a back and forth in control. And Muhammad Naimov got the unanimous decision, 29-28, so it was close. Yeah, both guys are making their way. So they looked good in there, but maybe a little bit more damage in the grappling. And then we had the show-stealing performance of the night. Nicholas Moda versus Nazim Sadykhov, Black Wolf Sadikov, Azerbaijan's own. I mean, not born there, but from there. Wow. Big favorite, hometown hero. Nicholas was trying to smile through the booze, but I get it. That's tough. And this fight was incredible, and hats off to both guys. It takes 2 to tango, and this is probably the best tango out there. The real tango is fun, but this is kind of the real tango. Really, the only way to describe this fight is when violence and technique find harmony. It was so perfect. Oh my gosh, what a fight. Wow. This was obviously the fight of the night. I mean, Yeah, these guys absolutely stole the show. It's another night of switchy switch. So like Nazim is being very switchy, like literally every other step, like every other step he's switching. Somewhere early in round one, Nicholas hits Nazim pretty big, and he sends him back. So not like knocked down, but stumbling, and he immediately starts pouring on. Like he's like, okay, I'm gonna get the finish. Like finish. Like dozens of punches are being rained down. Okay, I think it was like 70 something. And you think Nazim would crumble because he like comes down for a moment, but he's like got his guard up, right? All right, he survives the onslaught. He like waits for his moment, comes back at the perfect moment for him. Like it's absolutely beautiful. It's like a fight of just such fury and bravery already in that round one. Like it was amazing. Nazim like goes for a little takedown late. He's back, right? It's blocked, but like he's like it's clearly he's resurrected a little bit. I mean, yeah, what a start. This is like already round one. I'm like, this is why Nazim is one of my favorites. And, we get to round two and it's immediately striking action again, like violence on both ends. Like we're dialed in. I'm thinking, hell yeah, hell yeah, hell yeah. It's just so great. Like two killers are locked in the cage. You can really feel it. Nicholas gets split up against the fence. I mean, there's blood pouring everywhere. It's a magical show. Nazim is taking big shots. He's not bloodied at first, but then eventually, everyone's soaked in blood. And the technique, like the boxing technique is insane. Both guys were looking so good, but Nazim was looking really scary. He was looking like the guy he is, the one who has a 90% finish rate. Now it's something a little bit higher than that. Elbows too, right? We were toe to toe. We were head to head, right? Like their heads, it was amazing. It was not chaos. It was beautiful destruction. There's a difference. It wasn't just, flurry to the wind. It was very, very calculated. Both men were so technical. It's one for history books, really. And with a minute to go, we're up against the fence, and Nazim is throwing bombs, and it's system shutdown. You know what that means. You slump, and Nicholas is system shutdown. The Black Wolf gets it done. TKO round two. Nazim Sadykhov, that was amazing. So at that point, we were 1-0 for Azerbaijan. Seriously, and as Cub Swanson would say, as our leader, Cub Swanson, that was beautiful destruction when you make it look easy, when it looks effortless. Just such a technical bout. So beautiful, so special. Nazim is amazing. He's getting up to some really big things. Nicholas looking so tough and so gnarly in there. Like he almost got Nazim out of there at one point early, but Sadikov is a survivor, painted in blood. And Sadikov's like, you're gonna have to kill me if you want to get me out of there. Respect. I could feel that. Yeah. And then we get another hometown hero in our next fight, Tofik Muziah versus Miktabek Orolbai. Orolbai is classic. And this had to be a catchweight, 165. And if you didn't know, it's Orolbai who came in heavy because he's really a welterweight. I mean, he's fought at welterweight. It's probably where he should be. So 165, catchweight, right. So Tofik is like the actual hometown hero because he's actually the first ever fighter from Azerbaijan that actually was born there. So that's really cool. I mean, all three of our Azerbaijanis are hometown heroes, but he gets a little special recognition, and he's a finisher making his debut after a bit of a gap off. So Miktabek, no, not someone to get knocked out, and Tofik, someone who usually gets the knockout, so not a great setup, but and Orolbai is really sticky. He's really sticky. He loves the takedown, and he's going for it right away. Doesn't work. At first, we get a good balance moment on Tofik's part, but then the second one gets through, and he's now, taking down every opponent that he's had in the UFC. Muziah gets back up, gets taken down again, and then again. Oh, no! Orolbai is on top, okay, and all of a sudden, he's really on top, right? Like his crotch is in Tofik's face, and he's cranking that arm, getting a bit of a Kimura, and then it is a Kimura, and it's full on Kimura sauce, and he gets the submission. Round one, Orolbai. So now we're 1-1 for Azerbaijan, but it's okay. That was pretty scary stuff. That's some classic Orolbai. Get the takedown, get it done. not really hunting for the submission, but always open for the opportunity. Orobai, he's all suffocation, helps to be a little bit heavier, but weighing in a little Chubbs McGee, but it's okay. Chubbs McGee aside, a very great suffocating performance with 3 takedowns in that first round and all control to finish it up with a Kimura submission. That's great. Yeah, Orobai is not to be ignored. He said he had a surprise, and I guess that's what it is. And then we get at least me, I heard the Spanish version of that one Fleetwood Mac song for the 4th time, and I liked it. So that was fun, intermission. And then we made it to a heavyweight fight that I went into this kind of thinking it was cursed. Curtis Blaydes being number 5 and Rizvan Kuniev being unranked. It just doesn't really, it just doesn't jive. It doesn't sound right. But it's okay. Round 1, Curtis Blaydes with a very typical strategy of suffocation and control. And he's got Rizvan backed up. He's on top of him against the fence. And then we get another fence grab, our 10th of the night. Okay, not really, but there is a handful of them. Rizvan looking very stuck in that first round with not a lot of answers, and it was absolutely control for Curtis for at least 3 minutes. Just not much happening when we separate them on the feet as well. But those second rounds, Rizvan turned it up. He was dripping sweat, but the effort was coming off as well as the sweat. It was both. Blaydes looking for the level change and behaving more technically overall in the start of that second round, as you would expect. But once Rizvan is able to land a big shot, he gains some confidence. Then he starts getting in there. A little bit. And the tides are starting to turn by the end of that second round. And then the third round, Rizvan was standing really well. Both of them were trading a bit. And the takedowns just weren't happening anymore for Blaydes. So it was looking pretty even. I was just kind of thinking it was feeling split. To me, the vibes were split. So it was a split decision in favor of Blaydes. Just a little bit more, I guess. He says he was injured and it limited his movement, so hate to see that. It's a really strong start for him for sure, but yeah, Kuniev really found himself, and so coming out of it, I'm happy that Blaydes won, and I don't think of it as curse because Kuniev didn't look so bad in there. And he had some good cardio there at the end. But, why would you put Kurt's ranking up like that? Yeah, but he got the win, and I was impressed with Kuniev for those last 2 rounds. He's got a bright future. And then we're already at our co-main event, Ignacio Bahamundes versus Rafael Fiziev. A top 15 fight. This guy's shaking up the table. Ignacio Bahamundes versus Rafael Fiziev. Rafael Fiziev, number 11. Lightweight division, so thick that you can be Bahamundes on a 3-fight performance of the night finish streak and still not be ranked because there's just a lot going on in the lightweight division. We're predicting bone on bone for this one. Ignacio is just someone I've been really excited about, and Rafael is someone who I've already earned obviously so much respect for. It's like a dream fight going into this, and it was really great. Rafael coming in with the 4th most performance of the night wins. They were a performance of the night matchup. Or someone was, anyway, the math of performance of the night. And something about Bahamundes that we love is that he really doesn't care that he's tall. He's ready to really get in there anyway and not, try to use his height as a way to, really push the distance. He wants to get in there, and we love to see it. And this was another switchy fight where he was switching it every step, and it was scary. It's some scary stuff. And Rafael was switching in response. This was the most switchy of all the fights. So, this was switch for switch. Switch. I'm scared. I've never even seen that. It was maximum switch. Both guys being computers, switch. It was, so not a lot of significant strikes in that first round, but a lot of switching. A lot of looking for opportunity. Round 2, we spent a few minutes against the fence. Bahamundes trying to get that takedown, but he can't make it happen. And we get more cat and mouse of switch. A minute to go, and Fiziev goes for his own takedown. Gets it, but we get up. Oh, but another one. So Bahamundes wants to choke in that scramble moment, but he can't get it. And it's looking like those first 2 rounds were pretty much all Rafael. Like, he was having it. Like, he was just getting the edge on him a little bit. And it's like, Bahamundes has got to get the finish if he's going to win the fight going into that 3rd round. When Ignacio really, like, trusts himself and lets his hands go, he can put together some really solid stuff. But, tries to go for another takedown, not advised. Rafael's back up. Fiziev looking very crisp. Okay, pushing Bahamundes around, kind of punishing him a little bit. He's coming back at him, but definitely putting on the punishment. Fiziev kind of changing his usual game plan by mixing in those takedowns. That was really fun. Fun to see that, not his usual exclusively stand and bang. And he was able to get it done, unanimous decision. And we were right. Bone on bone does equal blood. That one was a bloody one. And at that point, we were 2-1 Azerbaijan. Rafael Fiziev, the first ever fighter to represent Azerbaijan in the UFC. So that's what he gets a special shout out for. And, he's such a sweet man with a golden heart. He just says, these people deserve to be happy. That's what he says in his post-fight interview. We didn't get a lot of post-fight interviews because we were late, right? There was a lot. The prelims were all decision-based. So we got to get TikTok. We needed to get TikTok. Yeah, Rafael really showed his experience in there, dealt with the big switchy by being a little switchy right back. And yeah, exactly what we thought. Bone on bone equals blood. Then we had our main event, Jamal Hill, number 4 versus Khalil Rountree Jr., number 7 in the light heavyweight division. Both of these guys don't believe in takedowns, so we kind of knew that'd be very weird if anyone even did any takedown action because they just don't believe in it. Neither of them believe in it. Former champion versus former title contender. Great stuff. Khalil coming in with the custom shorts. Looking cool. Why didn't Jamal get custom shorts? I just think everyone should have custom shorts. Yeah. No gloves touch, so it's a little bit of drama. Come on, guys. Both guys starting out goofy foot, and it's a calf kick exchange. This round 1, right away, it's leg exchange. And Khalil's a little bit more kicky, but more so, as we saw, his kicks are just really powerful. Kind of just outpowering Jamal in the calf kick battle right away, or in just the leg battle. And by round 2, we could see that Jamal was compromised. His movement was looking bad in that 2nd round. Right leg was busted as all hell, looking really terrible. Jamal did catch Khalil with something, but it wasn't much. Like, Khalil slipped, and yeah, Jamal's stifling, Khalil's piecing him up. Round 2, it was like that leg was already... Then we get some more low kicks, round 3, right? Jamal's still trying to find his moment, and then Khalil drops Jamal, but it's a pretty quick recovery. Both of them looking really patient and on the outside mostly. And again, that calf just barely hanging on. Somehow it looks worse and worse as the minutes go by. Khalil drops Jamal again. Right hook, close to the end of the round. Round 4, Khalil really turned it up slowly. Okay, so that doesn't really make sense to really turn it up slow. He turned it up a little bit. Definitely became the aggressor and was looking very, very sharp. Just trying to string together a little bit more combos. And Jamal was definitely stuck. And he was actually stuck in orthodox position to hide that leg, which he doesn't like. He's a goofy footer type, and he couldn't be who he wanted to be because he was injured. Ow! Round 5, do or die for Jamal, obviously, having been outdone all these rounds, leg looking horrible. It's kind of sad. A low significant strike fight. Overall, it's okay. Khalil absolutely dominating. It's one-way traffic, as Brendan put it. Little slow overall, but a very strong, powerful, unanimous decision win for Khalil Rountree, who really made it happen and was really looking like the Muay Thai guy that he is. Jamal was stuck after his leg was messed up. Wish you could have seen a little bit more fire at the end, but it's okay. You don't have to put everything all on the line, because Khalil still won very definitively, right? Pieced him up. And all he said is you don't have to, well, he said other stuff, but one of the things he said was you don't have to go, go, go. You can play it smart. That's true. And that's exactly what he did. They were chatting about something after, and Herb Dean was like, that's enough. You guys can talk about it later. He didn't there was drama, and Herb Dean was like, can we please just, like, it's 2 a.m. Let's make a decision for the fight. So, unanimous decision, Khalil Rountree to close the night out. It's very clear that Nazim Sadykhov and Nicholas Moda stole the show. That was incredible. But I gotta be honest, I'm a new fan of Claudia Segura for that, missed right cross to landed back fist. Let's make that a thing. Here is our song of the night, our first ever UFC night in Azerbaijan. What a treat. A lot of really bright shining stars. 2-1 for our Azerbaijanis. Let me know which fight was your favorite, and what do you think is next for Khalil Rountree, and what's next for Jamal Hill? What's next for anybody? What do we do with Bahamundes? What do we do with Fiziev? What do we do with Sadikov, okay? Because that was some shining stuff. Absolutely.